Hey, everybody. I'm Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat. What's going on? Well, all kinds of stuff going on. Mother Bird, good to see you. Sackcloth and ashes. What kind of man is concerned about how much another man's suit cost? No man. All baby oil. Well, all right then. Caitlin, good to see you. Jane Aldrich, how are you? Dee Dee Razzle Dazzle, how you been? Love it. Glad you're here. Hey, Majesty. Welcome to the boat. That is the Johnny Scoville. Word has it, most eligible bachelor this side of the something Pecos, side of the Mississippi, east and west of the Rio Grande, which I believe runs east and west. Oh, well, whatever. Good to see you all. Millie the Dandelion, good to see us. Hi, how are you? So we're going to be talking today about some stuff that I think is super relevant, and unfortunately we have to talk about. And we're going to start by saying some house rules with the lifeboat. Lynn Sanity, good to see you. How are you? Hey, Irish. F. Mike Dentures, good to see you. Teresa, how are you? Malcolm, how are you, man? Good to see you. Care Bear Gratitude, love it. Hula, Tina, James Collins cares, and he do. Thank you very much. I'll take the congratulations on me and the old fiance. We're in a weird spot, aren't we? This stuff that's going on that we call attention to all of the time is situations where people use authority, people use power, people use money to control others and to do whatever they want with them, have their way with them, abuse them, do all kinds of ugly stuff, right? Really, really ugly stuff. And I think that there's some confusion about who it is we go after, right? And why I go after them. And the reason that this is coming up is a lot of people have reached out to me because of some stuff that's going on in a community that I most assuredly am a part of, whether I want to be or not, because of my proximity to the woman that I love, who is an ex-Scientologist. And a lot of you met me through growing up in Scientology when I covered the Danny Masterson trial. It was a real bonus for the lifeboat. Now, since then, there's been some drama concerning the guy that runs that channel, and I don't talk about it. Last week, there were allegedly 24 indictments or something that came down against a content creator that most people around here don't like. Some of you like him, some of you go and hang out there, but most of you do not. And a lot of people were taking victory laps because this guy kind of acts like a troll more than a content creator, and people were celebrating his demise. I didn't do that. In spite of the fact that this guy has trashed me on I don't know how many different occasions and said some of the most vile and foul stuff about me. I'm not going to waste my time, right? I don't talk about content creators. So when I didn't talk about that one, no one really gave me a whole lot of crap. I got one email from someone that said, you owe it to the community to talk about that. Well, I don't. I'm sorry, but I don't owe that to the community. I don't. There are things I owe to the community, and I absolutely... right? We'll tell you what I believe that I owe to this community, but that isn't part of it. So the Royal Order of Jesters are a group of people that we are trying very viciously to take down, and we're trying to take them down for a good reason. Hold on one second. We're trying to take them down for a really good reason, but don't get it messed up. I'm not trying to take them down because they cheat on their wives. I'm not. It's not my beef with them. Do you understand? That's not my beef. Does it make them good people? It does not. It doesn't. If you pledge yourself to somebody, stick with that person. If you're not capable of sticking with a person, maybe don't. Maybe don't pledge yourself if you're not ready for that, right? Maybe don't do it. But I'm not here to. I got emails last night from people that said you're not going after, this content creator who's doing the exact same thing. Oh, most assuredly he's not. This isn't a Diddy situation. It's not. I'm sorry. It's infidelity. It's not good stuff. But it's not what we cover here on the lifeboat. And as a rule of thumb, and a friggin' good one, we don't talk about content creators. And I know that everybody would like me to. But you know something? It's low-hanging fruit. It's a way to get views, right? I could have put this dude's image in my thumbnail and gotten 250,000 views on it because I'm sure people would like to hear me thrash him. and it's bad form. And I'll tell you something: what, like him or hate him, right? The guy is not. I'm not a person that he loves. Right? We've had our differences in the past, but when Reese and I went through some ugly times, and some of it, got onto the internet, he didn't take any shots at me. Right? He wasn't out there creating content, going, "Woo, let's talk about what just went on with these two." No, a lot of people did. I don't care. Honestly, I don't. But the people that I'm going after are breaking the law, right? That really is the defining characteristic of all of the people that we're thrashing on, is that they're breaking the law and they're using the power that they have to completely, right, thumb their nose at the law. Thank you, Lisa Trimble, and Happy New Year. I hope you're starting off to a better one. Now, some of you are going to be going, who the hell is he talking about? I'm not trying to trash a content creator if you don't know who I'm talking about. But I'm saying this because there's a lot of people in my audience that do know who this person is. And there's people that reached out to me. And I got an email that I really thought about reading. But it opened up with, if you're still effing with this dude, right? I'm a dirtbag because this is exactly the kind of stuff that I talk about every day on my channel. So to not talk about this content creator that's doing the same stuff, he's not doing the same stuff. Trust and believe I'd be talking about it. Whether I know the guy, don't know the guy, whatever. We're going to hold people's feet to the fire who break the law and get away with it because of their power and their influence. You understand the goal? Right? Why Voldemort's on the list? Why those 3 Alexander brothers from Florida are on the list? Right? These are all people that thought because of the amount of money that they had, right, that their power was going to allow them to do literally, using this word correctly, by the way, because most people don't, literally let them do whatever they want to whoever they want. They argued, text messages between the brothers argued about who was going to get to R-word this woman first, because they had it all lined up to bring this person over and, of course, ply them with chemicals until they don't know where they are. And they're in a zombie-like haze. And then these upstanding, fine citizens from Florida, white boys, by the way, for all of you who say I don't, I only go after black people, white boys, arguing over who was going to R word this individual first. It's a pretty sick thing. Sunshine, how are you? Hey, Jen Hobbs, Crypto Don, how are you? Woofy, good to see you. Gordon Jackson, why, thank you. Oh, cool. It was a pretty lovely moment. And so many of you have reached out and said so many kind things. I really appreciate it. I would say that we had probably a 99% positive reaction, which is cool. That's way more than I had expected. So I love you guys. I really do. Our government does break the law every day. I mean, there's no question about that. There isn't. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to try to identify the places where we can do things about this, and we're going to try to hold their feet to the fire. All of us in our own special way. And, the smallest of things, for real. And I'm not touting the lifeboat right now, by the way, but I'm touting anybody that goes out and does things that absolutely inspire you. There are content creators that will do a video, and at the end of it, you go, damn, man, damn, that really did move my needle. Like, this did something. I felt that. Well, take 2.2 seconds to hit a thumbs up on that video. Maybe subscribe to that creator. A lot of people are brand new to YouTube. I was fairly new to it. My brother broke this down for me once. He said, I was on YouTube for years before I ever liked a video, because he didn't understand the concept. But it's like tipping a waiter, and it doesn't cost you anything. It's just saying, you know what? Yeah, I support what you just did. If there are people out there telling truths, support what they do. If they're not, don't hit thumbs down. That doesn't tell them, hey, you suck. It says, hey, I'm engaged. Blow them off. Right? Don't do anything. Lucinda, there you are. How have you been? Good to see you. Thank you, Lucinda. I hope you're having a fantastic New Year. Really, that's so cool. I'm really glad to see you, and thank you. I appreciate that. I do. It's fun. It's exciting. And it's exciting that we were able to take all of you with us. Again, the vast majority of you have been just lovely. And whether you believe this or not, we haven't even had to go and police the comment section like we normally would. There's a lot less hate than there used to be. You know what? I am not surprised by this. Thank you again, Lucinda. I really appreciate you. Irish says, Rabbit stuck up for Atwood the other day. She refused to buy into hate about him. That's because Rabbit's a pretty solid content creator, and I think most people will agree with me on this. It's and you know this. We live in a really weird world. You understand? What we do is very odd, right? This social media, because there's a media part to this. We talk about things that are happening currently. Um, then what happens is we end up in this mishma of weirdness where we end up doing content with other people. This afternoon, I will be over on the Sean Atwood program with my brother Johnny. I do a show over there every week. I am attached now to Sean Atwood. He and I are attached as people that will create content together. Joel, Surviving the Survivor. I am part of the Surviving the Survivor family, and I will always kind of be attached to Joel in that way as well. And there are other content creators as well. And one of them was Aaron Smith Levin at Growing Up in Scientology. And the benefit from going on his channel was monumental, and it really pushed me in the direction that the lifeboat has kind of evolved into. For that, I will be forever grateful. The also on the flip side of that, he accidentally outed Reese out of the cult that she was in. Right, he held up a phone, and her name for a split second was seen, and the people at Scientology saw it and kicked her out. And if he hadn't, we would. I wouldn't be engaged. Uh, 1 year. Woohoo! Unbelievable. Jam Jam. I can't believe it's been a year. I'm a firm believer if you're not prepared to say it to someone's face, then you shouldn't type it. Well, that's a hell of a good thing to say. You know, people, occasionally you get people that say, you know, this is something that comes up when people talk about prison. You know, is there anything you miss? I do. Somebody comes up and goes, "Hey, man, Johnny Scoville, you know, was saying some shit yesterday about you," and you go, "Whoa, let's go talk to Johnny." It's over. There's none of that. Well, listen, don't tell him that I told you. The two of them will go smoking straight over to Johnny Scoville and go, "Hey, you want to explain to me what you were talking about? Huh? Why is my name in your mouth?" For real. Thank you again, Jam Jam. Time flies when you are having fun, doesn't it? Oh no. Can we get thoughts and prayers for my friend Lucinda? Just got back from Orlando, and the germs got me. Well, we can't have that, right? That's not how we start the new year. Paula D. Penley says, creating my own content made me more aggressive on liking all the videos I enjoy. You know, I think that's probably a reality for a lot of people. Hey, Angie Mo, when you start to find yourself creating and being a part of it, a lot of these things then come to light. Again, one of the things that we take for granted is we watch content constantly. And within certain genres, my brother's content is a perfect example. Within the pepper community, there is drama in the pepper community. No getting around it. There's a small group of jackwagons that act like idiots most of the time, and there are some controversies surrounding some peppers that either exist or don't exist, and if they do exist, how hot are they, and all of this kind of stuff. There's drama in every single community, everywhere, right? Everywhere. But I think, and you can correct me on this if you think I'm all wet. If this makes no sense to you, then feel free to shoot me down. But I'm of the firm belief that that kind of action causes misery. It really does. And I found myself last night. There's people who realize that this guy and I aren't tight, right? I could be doing I could really just sort of pile on, couldn't I? Would it be moving me any closer to love? It would not. If you were clueless as to what I'm talking about, it was an act of infidelity, and it is now out in the open, which is a frightening thing, right, for content creators. I don't worry about it because I'm not cheating on anybody, which is probably a pretty good way to live if you're going to be going forward as a content creator. That said, that's all that's ever going to be said. We're not bringing it back up. We're not talking about it, and we're focusing on the bad guys, right? We are going to laser focus on the bad guys, and we're not going to allow people to screw us off of our game, right? Because to be honest, people reaching out and demanding that I talk about something, I mean, demanding for me to talk about anything. And if I made this rule up yesterday to avoid talking about this person, but we have had a rule around here. If I talk about a content creator, it will be like I just talked about Rabbit from down the rabbit hole. And if you got a wrench, you can throw a link up to Rabbit's channel. Rabbit covers a lot of the same kind of stuff that I cover here. And, she's one of the only content creators on YouTube who will never, if she sees a story for the first time on your channel, when she does her version of it, she's going to say, I was watching The Lifeboat and Tommy was talking about this and it got me going down a rabbit hole. It's just something she always does. It's classy. If I'm going to talk about a content creator, that's the kind of stuff I'm going to be saying. You're not going to hear me trash a content creator. From time to time, a content creator will do something that almost forces you to talk. The other week, we had somebody in the Diddyverse that has been platformed, right, to come on and talk about something that happened to her that was an absolute fabrication, right? It happened to a woman named Kane, who was married to a former hockey player. She was the person in the Dolce & Gabbana shirt, right? Not Misha. It was this very, very unfortunate situation, but people began to start to throw shite back and forth between content creators. In fact, currently, at least the last time I tuned in, there's some division going on between Jaguar and a couple of other people that are creating in the Diddyverse. I got no time, right? There's a great quote about the difference between smart people and intelligent people and geniuses, right? But geniuses talk about concepts, right? They don't talk about people. If we're spending our time talking about people and cutting them down, we're not moving toward love. I promise we're moving in the opposite direction, right? And it isn't just a pitch, people. It really isn't, right? My life was pretty friggin' awful. Right? My life was pretty awful. And changing my game plan and getting to the point where, honestly, it's just the easiest metric because it doesn't matter if you have got a faith in God or if you got a faith in nothing. It's a pretty safe bet. If you ask yourself before you do things, if you ask yourself before you say things or write things, is my action right now moving me closer to the concept, as I understand it, of love? Or is it moving me farther away from that concept? And if the answer is it's moving you farther away, then ask yourself the next question, which is then why are you doing it? Right? It's leaving the earth a better place than you found it by doing that? Because I don't buy that. I don't. So we're not going to do it here. And I won't be guilted into it either. No offense. No more Audubon. 3 days was enough. Thanks for the love and support. You were all amazing. If you're written a prescription for something and sometimes you got to take them, that's great. As long as you are taking stuff kind of how it's prescribed and keeping keeping yourself in check. And I know you are. So that warms the heart. It really does. Diane Ramos, good to see you. How are you? Hey, Mary, Blessed to Crochet, good to see you. Sunset Salty Sage, good to see you. So this is 2025. Now, I make no mistake, people. Righteous indignation is going to be the battle method for all of 2025. We're going to be getting behind the movement, right, of sorts that I think almost got started last time, but kind of didn't. And why? Well, because we have that. What's next? Huh? What's the next headline? Give me something new. This is boring. I don't want to talk about this one anymore. Right? So, with all due respect to all of the men, right? Because it happens to them too. Trust me. But to all of the men and all of the women out there who are being cheated on today, the person that's doing that is worthy of scorn, derision, and probably some counseling. They're not worthy of spending 5 to 10 minutes on this channel talking about them, right? Now, if that rises to the level where they're doing something that is, there are things that I'm disturbed by people that think cheating and what Diddy is doing is the same thing, to be honest with you. Cheating is disgusting. It's foul. It's not something anybody should do. It isn't. It's abhorrent behavior, right? And chances are, had my fiance not been cheated on by her husband, ex-husband, the way that she was, chances are she'd be a lot less pissed off about the guys in purple, right? But that being said, she was. But that's not why we're going after them. We're going after them because there are prostitutes in here that are generational. We're going after them because I got an email from a woman that said, I can't get behind this anymore. This is just absolute ridiculousness, right? I mean, yeah, these guys may go out and, there may be some girls or some dancers, but I don't care what you say after the butt. I really don't. These are brainwashed individuals, and that's pretty friggin' sad. She was really disturbed by the fact that we used the word satanic, right? Now, I didn't use the word satanic as if to say these people are on their hands and knees praying and sacrificing things to the red scaly bastard with the bifurcated tail and the hay fork, right? What I'm saying is it's the kind of behavior that is moving so rapidly toward hate that it can't really be the term satanic just seems to fit pretty well. Sorry if that bums your eye, right? But that's the way it is. Tommy, have you seen the video of Diddy riding on a motorcycle in the prison? I have. It's pretty creative video. I dig it. I dig it. It's a pretty creative video. I saw a couple of other ones that were pretty funny. Diddy is, so, just for anybody that missed the last couple of shows, Diddy is not in general population. This is something that they say every single day on the bigger networks. He's not in general population. This man will never be in general population, ever. It's not going to happen, right? He's in protective custody. He's just not locked down 24 hours a day. And as far as the real world is concerned, if you can mingle with somebody, you're in general population. And that's not it at all. General population means they could grab that fool and drop him in any single unit in there. Just pick one, right? 1 through 15, drop him in a unit. Go stick him in unit 6. Oh, you couldn't do that. There's only one place he can go. And it's around other people that got crappy paperwork, right? Other people that can't go after him because they're dirtier. Da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Thank you, Roberta. I appreciate that. If you dig what we're doing, hit the thumbs up. It benefits the boat. It really does. And you know what? We're trying to get a message out, people. I'm not joking. We're really trying to get a message out. By the way, we are rapidly approaching the 28,000 subscriber mark. And I'll tell you something, folks. That's about, 27,994 more people than what our goal was. The original goal was to try to get 6 people that were actually going to stick around and talk about the kind of things we talk about. People that would be willing to talk about living their best life. What are we congratulating? Well, I did ask Reese to marry me on the New Year's Eve show. That could have been it. There's a lot of people that are congratulating me on that. I am now a fiancé, as the word goes. It is getting scary that AI is getting more believable. It is very, very easy at this point to really, really get burned, right? It's very easy for content to be created that is just BS. You will see ads being run all the time, and I don't know how they can do this legally, but you're going to see ads run all the time where it's going to be Sylvester Stallone talking to you about erectile dysfunction. It's not Sylvester Stallone. He's got nothing to do with that ad. There's other ones where it might be Schwarzenegger. They just pick a person and they use, the lips aren't even in sync. It's terrible, but they use somebody to do a commercial, and I'm sure they're not asking, right? I am influenced. Is that true? Is that how one says that? Am I influenced? Well, I'm going to have to work on that. Influenced. No, she is, Greece is not home currently. It's just me and all of the fur babies. I was doing a little work on the motorcycle, and the Quibster went out today to get beautified. This is her hair day, which I think she does like 4 times a year, and she had to get up really early, and she's the cutest person in the world when she first gets up really early. She's got this sort of I don't know how to describe it. She just you can tell that she's a lot happier about 30 minutes after she wakes up. And that cute 30-minute section is one of my favorite times a day. Is she getting a massage? No, she's not getting a massage. She's just getting her hair done. There is a video going around with Kamala telling everyone she was born as a man named Steve. It's actually pretty good. I've seen that video. There's a lot of really funny ones, but I'll tell you something. And I've said this on the boat before. I got a phone call once from a very close friend of ours. Very good guy, works with computers. Is absolutely phenomenal. He became very wealthy as a person that designed software. He's gifted and talented at what he does. And he was screwing around with some AI stuff. And I get a phone call, and I pick up the phone, and I'm having a conversation with me. Right on the other end, it's like, hey, this is Tommy Scoville, and I go, yeah, you kind of sound like Tommy Scoville. I said, but I'm pretty sure you're not Tommy Scoville. And then it just responded to me. And for a while, I had a conversation with myself, which I'm not going to lie to you, is creepy, right? It's really, really creepy. Found you on STS, and I've been subscribed since. Lurker in chat, but want you to know I admire your work and your solid character. Happy New Year. Anita, what a kind thing to say. Honestly, I love that. What a cool thing to say. We're going to try to keep the bar high. And you know something? It's not going to be easy. It isn't. This is going to be a tough year. If we get out of this without me doing an apology video or two, it's going to be hard, because you want to panhead, knucklehead, 250, a old Enduro. In fact, it's Rambo's bike from First Blood. Same color, same fenders, everything. It's a Yamaha XT250 Enduro, the one from Rambo. First Blood bike, which is what happens when you get old and worthless and you go after your toys from a kid. Honestly, that's not the truth. The truth is this bike isn't even mine, but it's been lent to me, and I was going and playing around with it. It's a lot of fun, but the battery's dead, so I needed to get a little jump on it. I heard Nicole Kidman's name being thrown in the mix. Hear anything? I haven't had time to research. Well, I'll tell you. The other night I couldn't sleep. This would have been, well, it was the night before I came here. So I was still in Arizona, and I couldn't sleep, and started to go and tried to go down the rabbit hole of looking for people whose names are not being associated necessarily with Diddy, but people who you can see, right, in different pictures of being at Diddy parties. And I mean to tell you something, folks, everybody has been to a Diddy party. I'm not kidding. It's absolutely remarkable how many people have been photographed just you got to think about a Diddy party like this. When you show up and they let you through the front door, right? There's security everywhere. There's people walking around with drinks. Those drinks are not laced, right? Nothing weird is going on. There's hors d'oeuvres. Yeah, there's people scantily dressed, and there's probably a lot of grab ass and stuff like that. But then nothing is going on there that's going to bust anybody. You understand? And they're going to have a red carpet area and a photographer waiting to take your picture with a backdrop that says Ciroc, or a backdrop that says De Leon, or a backdrop that says Sony Music or Universal Music Group, right? Old Sir Lucifer's company. Motown, who's ever sponsoring the party. But everybody who goes through gets that picture taken, and you got to know half of them get that picture taken and go, thank you, have a great day. And it's just for their career. It's just to say they were at a Diddy party, because just the fact that you got invited shows that you are one of those people, right? You're cool. This guy's a big freaking deal. He was the biggest deal. These were the Studio 54 kind of entry thing of our time. We missed Studio 54. I know people in the audience are going to go, I didn't miss it. Well, us youngsters who are only a half a century old, for the most part, missed any opportunity of that kind of velvet rope BS where you can't get in, you can't get in, you can. The kind of stuff where routinely they would say, the girl comes, the guy's got to stay behind. And women would go, I'll be right back, honey. Right? This kind of crap was going on because this was such a big deal, right? Paris Hilton was one of the most popular people on earth. Do you remember those days? Huh? She and Nicole Richie had that stupid that stupid show where she famously said, what's Walmart? What do they sell? They sell walls? Huh? I'm not woofing you. That happened. But she was at every one of those, right? She was at every one of those. Jen Gary says, where are those superseding indictments? Everybody and their pundit brother is waiting on those superseding indictments. If they don't come, and they don't come pretty soon, I think everyone's going to be shocked. Because the grand juries will indict anything. They'll indict a ham sandwich. And the grand jury met for a long period of time. They marched a lot of people through those proceedings. Something was going on. And I believe we're going to see them. I really do. That was an act by Paris Hilton? I'm sure that it was. I'm sure that it was. But one way or the other means nothing to me, right? It was a very whatever. Here's what it comes down to. She was always a fixture at all of these parties, and probably not because she was doing the freak off thing or whatever. And maybe she was, who knows? But this is where you had to be seen if you were that it person. And she was about the most it person on earth at that time, right? So a lot of people went to these parties. Would I be surprised if Nicole Kidman had been at a couple? No, I wouldn't. I'd be surprised if she didn't. That was kind of a time where she was really, really a big deal as an actress, or an actor, I guess we call them now, right? But all of the people that went to these things, a very small part of them ever got out of that front yard, red carpet photo op kind of a place. The last time I was in LA, it was pre-Quibs, and I went to a dinner that was celebrating a dead. So I went with I was invited as someone's guest, and there was a red carpet, and there was the backdrop for the pictures and all of that. And I watched people who showed up, got their picture taken, and left. Like their goal was to be photographed there. And I think that happened a lot at Diddy parties. A lot of people. And when you throw into the mix his birthday parties, which were not like the white party or the black party, these things were invitations were sent out to every A and B list celebrity on earth. Really. They tried to make sure that everybody was there. And you know what? Everybody was. Politicians, tons of them. And before anybody starts throwing rocks, guess what? Your party? Yeah, tons of people from your party were there. And your party? Yeah, your party too. Tons of people. Both political parties had a grip of people that showed up there. It was just the place to be. And I think that it's hard for us to separate that from what we hear, right? Because the lawsuits in our head, don't you almost feel like you got to a Diddy party, they shoved a pill down your throat, ripped your clothes off, and started filming? Huh? Is that not what it looks like? Now I got news for you. Now that we got 437 people in here, which is a good-sized crowd for the boat. My problem with Diddy, my problem with the Jesters, my problem with all of these people is that they're not being punished for the crimes that they're doing. I certainly got punished. All of my friends got punished. If you break the law, you should have to go do time, right? If you get away with it, you get away with it. He didn't get away with it. The whole world knows what he's done, right? The whole world knows he's been doing this, and he's been doing it for decades. And allegedly, his friends have been too. I think that's this is worth talking about. The fact that he cheated on Kim Porter makes him a bad person, doesn't make him a criminal. The fact that he cheated on Cassie made him a bad person, didn't make him a criminal. We're not going to be beating on people because they're bad people. Not here. We're not. A bunch of other channels will do it. You're not going to have any problem finding people today, tomorrow, the next day that are going to be thrashing, right, individuals for being cheaters. They're bad people. They're bad people. People who cheat on their mate, not good people, right? Sex trafficking is a very different thing, right? Flying people in to SA your girlfriend while you film, right? That's what the diddler is being accused of. You understand? That's really, really pretty rugged. Yeah. Katie makes a good point. She says they vote a certain way because of the dirt the Jesters have on them. You understand the danger in all this. This is why you should never allow anybody to be in a secret society, because things do come up where maybe you're voting on something that just seems irrelevant to the rest of the world, but maybe it's got something to do with a law about tobacco or a law about whatever. And somebody says to you, we don't want you to vote your conscience on this one. We don't. We want you to support our so-and-so. He's a brother Mason, or he's a brother Jester, or whatever the case may be, right? That's the danger. By the way, I know a bunch of people that listen to this podcast, or whatever we call what we do here, are Freemasons, because they reach out to me. So I would like to make a very distinct point here. Masons allege that very few Masons are even hip to what the Jesters are or what they're doing. All of them say this. Now, as of this moment, I have no reason to doubt that that's the truth. But you need to do something about that, right? If you're in the 10% of the Freemason brothers here in the U.S. who know what scumbags the people in the Royal Order of Jesters are, well, then I guess it's time you start talking to your other brothers and saying, do you know what the Jesters are all about? But you know what they'll tell you? They're afraid to do that. They're afraid to do that because the Jesters are all throughout Freemasonry, and they're in very high levels of authority, and they will make their life miserable. They'll get them kicked out of their little clubhouse or whatever it is that they're doing. But this, once again, is the perfect example of how is this happening? Why has this been going on for 100 years? Because good men have done nothing, right? The Freemasons will scream from the high heavens that they are good men, that they are there to uphold blah, 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 blah. Now, prove it. Prove it. Right? Invite my fiance, or I'd be more than happy to come and do it my damn self. But invite us to come speak at your little gatherings, and we can tell everybody what the Jesters are. We'd be more than happy to. But this, hey, I didn't really know what was going on. That's the kind of not going to fly in 2025. It really isn't. Yes. You know what's really funny? I have an apology that I have to make, right? We have a guy, his name is Darren, but it's like Darren and a bunch of numbers. It's like Darren 1355, whatever. But Darren's been watching the boat for a really long time, and Darren does research for me. He'll find stuff and he'll go, hey, Tommy, you got to check this out. He sent me this Andy Cohen video so long ago that I probably could have had that resurface and been out in front of it. And so a big apology to my man, because honestly, I had that for a while and I didn't jump on it. But it is a creepy video. If you guys have not seen this, you can look it up. It's Andy Cohen doing his little talk show. He had a late night talk show thing, and he had the diddler on, and Diddy showed him the uncut version of the video to promote his cologne, which was called 3 a.m. And why wouldn't it be? But the first thing Andy Cohen says is, oh my God, that's full nudity, right? And then he comments on Cassie's breasts, and he saw some side boob that he really appreciated or whatever. It's, hindsight being 2020, it's another one of those situations where I say, this has aged like 2% milk. You know what I mean? Thank you, Star. I appreciate that. Congratulations for me and Reese. Hey, Allison Metcalf Palumbo, good to see you. Yeah. Chosen ignorance is a form of complacency. It sure is, isn't it? It sure is, isn't it? Yes. What a great comment. You see this? The thinkers among us. Now, everybody knows somebody that's a Mason. Am I right or wrong? Am I right or wrong? Everybody knows someone that's a Freemason. Ask that question. Right? Ask them, who are the Royal Order of Jesters? And if they say, oh, they're just an offshoot of them, go, no, they're not. They're not. They're an offshoot of the Shrine. And the Shrine is an offshoot of you guys. So for all intents and purposes, one of the biggest problems is the way these guys have stayed alive is to ride the coattails of an organization that for a very long time had been considered very upstanding members of society. Whether you believe that or not, I get it. But a lot of presidents, a lot of politicians, a lot of very influential men have been a part of the Freemasons. And if you just read the stuff that has been written, it sure as hell sounds like they're trying to create someone who tries to overcome the desires of the flesh and yada yada yada. Right? Sounds great. Really, really sounds great. It is a modern version of the Hellfire Club, and that's actually a great comment. Tommy, funny that 3 a.m. isn't just when the bars close, it's also the witching hour. And he makes a point of saying, that's when all the good stuff happens. And you're probably going to be alone with a lady at that time. Everything he says now just sounds, you hear it and it's like, oh, you just sound so rapey. I'm sorry, it does. Everything he says just has that kind of rapey sound to it now, doesn't it? Is it me? It's not me. It's him. It's him. I sold glasses to a Freemason and he was so arrogant, says Professor Patty. Showed me his ring and said, you know what this is? Did you say, kind of looks like rolled gold plate? Went on and on about what a great man he is. Super jerk. The people that take the time to tell you what great men they are usually aren't great men. The Royal Order of Jesters sounds like a modern version of the 1700 Hellfire Club in the UK, of which Ben Franklin was a member. A lot of powerful people were members, and you know what? They were sure into chasing around naked women and doing all kinds of other stuff. But yeah, I mean, this we're not talking about stuff that's new. But what I would say is this: that with the Hellfire Club, man, maybe they were paying the women to be there. It almost sounded like it was more of a cult kind of a thing that all parties were involved in. If you're a woman and you want 7 men to have sex with you in an evening, knock yourself out. Have a great night. Be safe. Maybe wear some protection, right? Maybe make sure that there's somebody to have your back in case these idiots start to get, aggressive or could hurt you or whatever. But if that's your get down, that's your get down. I don't give a crap. I don't. I'm not the morality police, right? Never going to be. So in the same vein, if you're out there and you're cheating or doing whatever, we're probably not going to kick it. We're probably not going to be homeboys, right? But it's not my fight. It's got nothing to do with me. And my heart goes out to all men and all women who have been cheated on, because it sucks, man. Right? It absolutely sucks. I caught the Jesters live and was sick all night. How disgusting those women who think that this is a great gig and men like them make all men look terrible. They do. That's actually one of my beefs, to be honest with you. The other is when you have an opportunity to read what these guys fire back and forth to each other, and when they say things like, "Yeah, she's a mother of 2, so she's really going to need this." They're groomed. You can call it whatever you want, right? It's but the process, they've got it down to a science, and they groom people, and they have to be sponsored in. There has to be this big invite, and the invite is now all of a sudden, hey, you can now sell your body and make a full-time living, right? Taking care of these disgusting men. Wow. By the way, I must say now, because I don't want to catch crap down the road, that there are women who absolutely adore sex work. And if that's what you're into, then that's what you're into. And I'd be a bad person if I didn't say that, apparently. And I have said in the past, which chaps the backside of a lot of people, that I've never met a prostitute that wasn't strung out on dope. Now, since then, a couple of people that are crew members of the lifeboat have come forward to say, I didn't, that wasn't me. Fantastic. So since getting sober, apparently I've run into those people. In my life, I did not. And my experience, granted, I was a drug addict, so more than likely I was going to be surrounded by drug addicts. Yeah, so that probably would make sense if But I also visited the brothels. I used to drop dope off to the girls at the brothels, so they didn't seem particularly happy either. But these are my opinions, folks. I'm not. I promise you, I'm not the end all and the be all when it comes to this stuff. These are my opinions, man. Tommy, the Masons are one part of the Brotherhood. I think Mormons, Jesuit, Catholic, Satanic Church. Forgot the last one. Well, it's a hell of a start with or without the last one. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that are starting to question things, right? We're starting to question things that we may not have ever questioned in the past. And you know something? I think that's healthy. I think it's okay. Yeah. I think it's all right to question things that in the past may be fuzzy or gave us reason to go that this doesn't feel right. If it doesn't feel right, maybe start questioning it, start calling it, right? This is the time. We're never going to get another shot, I promise. Did you see the British girl who wants the new world record for sleeping with 1,000 men in one night? She did a trial run with 100 and broke down in tears when she came out to talk with Candace Owens. So since it went so well with the 100, she thought she'd try to multiply it by 10. God help us, what goes on in people's heads. You know, I mean, if that's just for money, God help us. You leave a piece of yourself. Again, an opinion. And it's an opinion based on not out of the blue. This is something I did. I did some stuff that it was different than. Anyway, I will tell you this: you leave a chunk of your soul every single time you sell yourself. Well, you do sell yourself. A piece of it stays there, and maybe that works out for some people. I know that at one time, Professor Patty, a guy that worked with me in a telemarketing office, his name was. His last name was Foster. I'm struggling to remember what his first name was, but he was related to a porn star who had the world record at that point, which was 500, I think. And her name was Houston. I think the name of her thing was the Houston 500. Bad form all the way around. It's not something that I'm just disturbed by it. And you know what? It's their right. Yeah, they're taking control of their stuff and they're doing whatever they want. Blah blah blah. Whatever. Right? Whatever. Doesn't make any sense to me. Right? Crap on me. It's all good. But it doesn't make sense to me. I don't think that's a healthy thing. Right? I don't. I really don't. This goes towards a celebration dinner for you and Green Eyes. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And yeah, I love that she has green eyes too. You know, it's very funny. It's a very small percent of the population that has green eyes. If somebody could look up that for me and tell me what it is, I think it's in single digits. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know it's a very low number. However, what's really weird is people who claim to have been abducted by aliens, they're almost all green-eyed. Isn't that weird? It kind of proves the point that I've been saying for a long time. There's a decent chance Reese is from outer space. Would I consider weighing in on Wade Wilson? Absolutely, I would. Thank you again, Rue. I appreciate you for the support. Would I ever consider weighing in on Wade Wilson? So, Wade Wilson is a really disturbing case, and I did a show on it once before, but I don't know. I don't have a problem weighing in on it again. He's a guy. It's a perfect example of someone who was dangerous, who then spends a couple of weeks awake. Right? I've always been terrified of methamphetamine. I've been terrified of that drug because I have watched people go completely batshit crazy on it. Nothing good happens when you stay awake for weeks. Your decision-making processes go to hell in a handbasket. And the things that he did were so horrific. I think that every once in a while, somebody comes along that just says, I'd rather be infamous than be nothing, right? I'd rather be at least infamous than be nothing. He had done a little bit of time. And he probably thought, I'm going to go back with a big case and the world is going to know about me. There are jackasses that have seen things like Dylan Roof, the Fed guy that went in and shot up a black church, just an ass. But then they watch people support these jerk-offs while they're in jail. And I think that for this dude, and death row, this is going to sound so stupid. But if you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison, there are amenities that you get on death row that you don't get in a regular prison, right? First of all, he's protected. He's not going to get jumped on death row. They keep you very, very separate from other people. You can yell to them, you can talk through the doors and stuff like that, but you're not ever going to be out at the same time. So he's safe. And he's got a ton of women that are going to write to him. He was not a bad looking dude before he started tattooing up his grill. And he put a big old Swazi right here, right? If he was in general population, they would want to remove that Swazi. And they would probably want to do it with a razor blade. For real. There are certain things like the letter SS, right? And they do it in so many, they try to hide it, like the Twin Towers. A lot of guys had tattoos of the Twin Towers falling. And when you looked at them, they created the SS. Well, the SS or the Swazi, certain numbers, the number 88, the number 14. These are all numbers that continue to come back up in tattoos and things inside. But if you have those on you and you're not solid, you're in deep trouble, man. You're in really, really deep trouble. It's pretty sad. Yeah, this really is. So he doesn't have a shot. Wade Wilson doesn't have a shot at any kind of an appeal or anything like that. He really done screwed up big time in that there's no chance of this guy ever getting any support from the street. Then you may go, of course not. Okay. If you went back to 1987 and said the Menendez brothers, they're going to be looking to let these guys out in about 25 or 30 years, you'd go, there's no way. There's no way. They just murdered their parents with shotguns. One of the brothers was on a jailhouse call bragging about how he had just really dialed in his crying, right? He was ready to cry on the stand. Now, I'm not saying they should be left in prison at all. I'm not. I'm just saying if you had told people back then that these guys were going to walk free one day, you'd go, that's bizarre and there's no chance. But we don't know what 20 years from now is going to look like for Wade Wilson. But what we do know is this. He is setting himself up to make sure that nobody is ever going to want to listen to an appeal on this guy. Right? Say what you will about the Menendez brothers. They have lived exemplary lives since being incarcerated. Kind of like my brother Q, right? Do everything right. And you look like somebody that's trying to rehabilitate. Wade Wilson looks like an ass. Yes, that would be it, Bumblebee. Usually with the number 666 somewhere around that clover. They're fond of the clover, to be sure. Professor, I have my opinion on it, but I'm not disclosing the same face. Tell me I'm not. Yeah. You know something, by the way? I don't want to come off. I don't want to come off judgy, right? About this other content creator stuff. Everybody has the right to have an opinion on this dude and what he did. And your opinions are valid. Whether you think he is the lowest form of low, or you feel like this guy deserves a chance, or maybe you extend a little bit more grace because of where this dude came from. Maybe you don't. Every one of those is completely valid. I'm just saying that I'm not going to do it from here, right? Trust and believe. I probably go off when there's no camera running, right? We all do that. I think it's healthy to an extent. I really do. As long as you're not taking joy in it. As long as you're not taking joy in it. And I'll be really honest. You want to hear something crappy? If you had told me a month ago that this was going to happen, I probably would have thought, I'm going to enjoy that. I'm not enjoying it at all. It sucks for both parties, and it sucks for the people watching. And you know something? The battle is real. That cult sucks. That cult systematically destroys human beings. They don't allow women to breastfeed because that's a bad idea. How about that? How about if we just stopped there? They don't allow breastfeeding. How about if we just stopped right there? How about if we stopped at they teach kids, right, from about the time that they can speak, you do not ever forgive anybody because it lets the person you're forgiving off the hook. I'm paraphrasing, but that's exactly the message that they convey. Don't you dare. Don't you ever forgive somebody. while you're teaching your kids, while I'm teaching my kids. To err is human, but to forgive is divine. They're teaching their kids, you do not ever forgive anyone. They're screwing people up. Left and right, they're screwing people up. And the sad thing is, the jackwagon that came up with this, right? The crappy science fiction writer that came up with all of this is long dead, right? Long dead. And they're still running with this scam. It's just messed up, man. It's just messed up. Is it me? Is it? Could be. Wouldn't be the first time. They also teach children they're only worth what they can contribute. A lot of people have asked me about this. Can we send Q stuff? We in the past we started to go down this road. He was on at one point he was on CMU, Communication Management Unit, where they were monitoring his letters going in and out. So you basically had to give them. He would have to say, Tommy Scoville's going to write to me, right? So that they knew that stuff was coming in. So he would have to do that for any of the people that were going to be writing him. So what we've done in the past is people send me stuff and I will get a whole package together and send them to them all at once. It's going to take Q the rest of his sentence, which hopefully is only going to be a couple of months. Maybe, we're really hoping that 2025 is the year he walks out of prison. But either way, he has a hell of a lot to read. He has just under 1,300 letters, some of which, the longest one was probably 13 or 14 typed pages. It's a pretty long message, but it's going to take him so long for him to read all of those. And I'll tell you what, I couldn't get through a lot of them. Had me crying. You know what? I'll give you that. Totally needs to grow up after 40. No reason for it, in my opinion. And that's legit. I can't stand a cheater. I've been cheating on in my young years, but it's not my business unless it is one of my family members. We are going to have a problem. Well, I agree with that too. And all of, again, everybody, the things that we feel and stuff like this are completely legitimate. And it sucks because when someone cheats, there is a victim. It's not a victimless crime. It's not a crime, but it's not victimless either. It's just really, really bad form, and it doesn't need to happen, right? It doesn't need to happen. If it's not a great match for you, then move on, But I also want to say this. There are people out there that will tell you can't fix those people. They're always going to be like that their entire life. I was a cheater for most of my time on planet Earth. I was. But I was also a criminal for most of my time on planet Earth, and I did not have a moral compass of any kind. It is absolutely possible, right? It's absolutely possible for somebody to recreate who they are. It's possible for somebody to sit down and say, you know what, the new me doesn't do that. But you really have to want to be a different person. For me, it was simple because the person I was such a dumpster fire that if I didn't change everything, I was going to be doing life in prison. It was just a foregone conclusion. I only needed one more, right? I didn't get 3 more shots. The next one was going to land me in federal prison for the rest of my life. So it became one of those things that you really got to do quick. And I did. It's not a good person, but I'm certainly trying now. How did I decide to have a moral compass? Well, what happened is this. My mentor said something that really resonated with me. He wanted me to make my bed, which I did every day because you had to in the feds. But he said to me, you don't really make your bed. I said, it passes inspection. He said, right, but that's how you live your life. Everything you do in life is just enough to pass inspection. It's just enough to get by, but not to be a standout, not to try to be successful, not to try to be better, not to try to be anything. You just want to sort of get through. And it started as simply as making that bed better than any other dickhead in the entire BOP made their bed. And when he was talking me through this, and I just thought, this dude is so stupid. He said to me, did you ever do this when you were sober? I mean, when you were using, I said, of course not. He said, well, then we're going to do a lot of things you never did, right, when you were using. And I cheated on people when I used, right? So the new me, any of those things, if I dragged any of that crap from my old life into my new life, I knew that was a portal to heroin. You church it up any other way you want, but any of those things that I didn't like straight sever the ties and get rid of it, then it was just a teeny little portal, a small hole, right? That even if I couldn't crawl through it, I sure as hell could see it. And it was just going to be a matter of time before I went back to what I knew best, which was sticking needles in my arms. So he said to me, what would people say about you? One of the things people would have said about me is I cheat on people, right? My word doesn't mean anything. If I say I love you and you're the only person in my life, I'm not going to really be that person. So as I was putting down the list of all of the stuff, right, I knew I had to change all of the things about me. And one of the things that I wrote right in the beginning was I wanted my word to mean something. I wanted people to believe the things that I said. And the only way that happens is if you you don't lie to people, if you follow through. So it was a very natural extension that what did I do when I was using? Well, all of these things. So I had to never do any of those things again. And that that turned into a moral compass. I certainly didn't set out to go, this is I'm going to be this. I just wanted to be sober. And I came to realize that the behaviors like cheating on a person after you tell them you love them is the kind of thing that dope fiends do, right? It was the kind of thing I did because I was a dope fiend. When I was able to get dope out of my life, just hearing of other people doing these things has a different effect. When I was a user, someone could go, oh man, I don't know if you heard about so-and-so and so-and-so, but yeah, he cheated on her. She walked in on it. Yeah. And then as you start to change and you start to become a different person and you hear a story like that and you go, oh, why? Right? It just changes. Dope makes you not care. It's why we do it, isn't it? I mean, think about it. Why do we do dope? We do it because it makes you not care. It makes you not care about pain. It makes you not care about how far behind you are on your bills. It makes you not care about the fact that, your girl really doesn't love you, or your mom wasn't, loved your brother more than you, or whatever BS you got going, right? The chemical makes you not care. Unfortunately, gets you everywhere. Most people can change for the better. Absolutely, they can. I'm here to tell you. Absolutely. Everybody can change. They can. But I promise you, the way you have to do it first is want to change. Sounds like a cliche, right? Well, you got to want it. You do, right? You don't have to be good at it. In the beginning, like I say all the time, man, people say you got to get sober for yourself. No, you don't. No, you don't. I promise you don't. If you had to get sober for yourself, our success rate would be absolutely zero. Because when you start trying to get sober, the person you hate most on earth is usually you, right? Like you're hitting rock bottom. You've been selling your body for dope. And I'm supposed to say to you, do this for you because you love you. Well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. All you can think about is how far you've fallen and what a scumbag you are and how your parents used to love you. Okay, parents, good. Quit for them. Start with I'm not going to disappoint them again. Not one more time. Maybe it's your kid. But that moment in the beginning where you say, you know what? Yeah, I will quit for my kid. I did. My first name on the list. When he said, "Give me why are the reasons you want to stop doing this?" I wrote Spanx. Right? I wrote Spanx Calhoun. I wrote Cedar. I wrote Papa Scoville. I wanted him. I did not want him to die knowing I was addicted to heroin. It was a big friggin' thing in my life. For real, it was huge. And it wasn't me. I wasn't quitting for me. Now I quit for me. Now everything I do because I want what is best for me. And I have a real plan for that. But it doesn't start that way. And everybody that tells you it does, they're selling you something. I promise. Or they're one of those people that went and got a degree, but they've never actually woken up in the morning, ready to go punch somebody in the face if they have to get dope, right? Or go rip off a church or whatever you got to do. Like when you're to the point where nothing is beyond the limit of what you're willing to do to get dope, I don't know. Those people tend to make more sense when they start talking to me about what it means to change. Izzy says, I had assumed a moral compass was innate, not learned. Well, there are a lot of people that would agree with you. There are even philosophers that would agree with you. I might have agreed with you a decade ago. For real. But I have watched transformations happen. And you know what? There are people on this boat that have watched transformations happen. I'm not messed up about saying this because I've had this conversation with the guy so many times. But Nick, I Am the Noise Opera. Nick, you talk about a guy that completely changed his moral compass. You talk about a guy that changed every single thing about what and who he was. It's remarkable. It really is. He's one of the kindest, one of the most beautiful souls you would ever meet. He was not when I met him. I promise you. He'd be the first to tell you. And we did it. Not me. He was in Canada when the skies opened up and they caught an atmospheric river. Do you remember this? It washed away roads, like it was destroying the part of the world that he was in. And the lifeboat stopped what they were doing, right? Everybody freaked out. They were all so worried about him. Everybody was praying. Everyone was reaching out to him. And it touched that man in a way that nothing else ever had. It's remarkable how much a person can become a better version of themselves if they actually give enough of a shit to want to be a better version of themselves. But it most assuredly starts with that. You know what? It's a great comment. There is no greater sorrow than betrayal in the house of a friend unless it's your lover. You know what? And no one wants this. By the way, I feel horrific for all parties involved, right? Just finished 8 years clean off of, I think I saw opiates. Tommy, I just finished 8 years clean off prescription opiates. How great is that, huh? 8 years. How great is that? I question if I could not use if we had clean drugs. You know what? It's fascinating from someone who tries to help people get sober. This is the strangest time to ever be alive. We don't have a safe drug supply. That's really remarkable. One of the hardest things is making peace with your past. I have this has been for me. I wasn't steering the ship during those years. This isn't a cop-out. It's not. But I handed the wheel to heroin. And that's all of the decisions that were made by me were made because nothing was more important than that substance. Nothing. And it took over. I allowed it to run the ship. And I know that this is the truth because when I was able to remove that SOB from behind the steering wheel, here we are, right? 475 people on a Thursday. Is it a Thursday? Or a Wednesday? It's a Thursday. 475 people hanging out with me on a Thursday listening to me. Probably wasn't in the deck when I was still using. I was a jerk off. And I'll tell you something else. We're going to hear you want to fix your life, you want to become a better person, you're wasting your mother-loving time if you try to improve yourself and continue to use. If you think I can become a better person, right? I'm gonna continue to drink, and at the rate I'm drinking, because that's what I do. It's not a big deal. But I'm gonna become. You're wasting your time. I promise you. You'll hear people say this all the time. Drugs don't make you a jerk, right? If you're a jerk, the drugs will just make it more obvious. Oh, a lot of truth to that, man. Right? There's a lot of truth to that. Nevertheless, my only paid membership, that means the world to me, Jackie. Do you know that? For real, I love that. By the way, we're going to be doing a Zoom call inspired by Reese. And we are going to be doing a Zoom call for the members in the month of January. So we're all going to have an opportunity to look at each other. Should be an awful lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. but we're going to start doing that. We're going to start doing that once a month. You know, I have absolutely changed who I am. I have, but I'm at peace with who I was. You know, I really am. And when I say things like, you know what, people that cheat on their significant others aren't good people, they're not. I wasn't. Right? Doesn't mean you can't become one. I promise you. Right? I promise you. You can become whatever it is you want to become. There you go, Johnny Scoville. Another guy that has changed more remarkably since getting sober than you can imagine, truthfully. But if you're not planning on getting sober, I promise you, you are spinning your wheels. There is not going to be anything, and I do mean anything, that is going to. You're not getting any traction. You're not, and people do it all the time, right? We want everything. And we want to be able to get high while we're doing it. I want the happy marriage. I want all of the money in the world. I want my business to be good. Hey, what was that? I think I have cat action. Oh, you know what it is? My fiance is home. I'm going to have to go and unload the car, people. But the menagerie starts. I will be back later today, people. Hold on. Let me see if I can get her to say hi. Don't move. Don't move. Hey, Cribs, I'm live. This is what happens when you don't lock your door in bug tussle, right? The moral of the story is, when in bug tussle, keep your doors locked.
Are you still live?
Am I?
I don't have any makeup on. Hi, guys.
Your hair looks fantastic.
No, it doesn't.
I love it. But safe bet that you didn't. I love you guys. Thank you. I hope that everything I said makes sense. I hope you understand who the enemy is, right? Let's ask ourselves, right? Maybe 3 or 4 times a day, especially for the next week or two. Is what I'm about to do or what I'm about to say moving me closer to love, or is it moving me closer to hate? Right? If it's moving you closer to hate, ask yourself the next question, which is, why are you doing it? Right? I think we will have a better world. It's not a stretch. It's not that hard to do, but I think it'll create a better world. Then again, what do I know? Right? Convicted bank robber. All right, people, I will see you on the next one. Between now and then, do me a favor. Reach out and try to save somebody. You just love how I said my fiance is home? Well, I liked saying it. You know what? Hold on a second. Rachel says, ex-meth user. They're cheater, then now mother of 4, steady job. People, you can change your life. Everybody can change their life, right? But you got to want to change your life. That's the key. See you on the next one, people. God bless. Bye-bye.